Hey there, West Michigan meteorologist Will Haney here. It is Sunday night at about 9:40 p.m. I got to keep this somewhat brief tonight, a little bit more brief than I usually do, because of course we are butting up against our 10 o'clock newscast. I'm hopping on here a little later than intended. There's just a lot of things we're going through regarding the forecast, really in the next several days, but specifically Tuesday, Wednesday timeframe, and then again later this week. There is a lot going on in the forecast, so it's keeping me really busy. Been crunching some numbers, and we'll have the latest to update you with as far as the incoming system for Tuesday, Wednesday. We are going with a weather alert day for Tuesday, specifically Tuesday morning's commute, looking a little bit dicey. So that's something we'll be talking about, and potential accumulations. It's going to come for us in sort of multiple waves on Tuesday, which we'll break down here in just a second. It is still looking like a snow to rain event. And then eventually we'll see snow on the back end of this incoming system as well, which we'll detail here in just a second. Give me just one moment and I'm going to share this and then we'll get the party started. All right. Hopefully everyone is enjoying the weekend. All right, let's jump in. Now that that is done, it is done. So we woke up to a little snow this morning. That was lovely. If you looked out your window, it's a nice little, about an inch or so. We had some reports up to, I think, 2 inches in Pawpaw, which was a little surprising. I forecast generally that most would stay under half an inch, which I think a majority of our area did stay below that, but there were some slightly higher totals, I know, in and around Kalamazoo County and Van Buren County, I think. So anyways, that was something worthwhile this morning, but it quickly melted. So really quickly, I want to show you all just what we're dealing with really in the Tuesday, Wednesday timeframe. Tonight, no weather worries. Tomorrow morning, I don't think we're dealing with anything either. We're just cloudy tomorrow, highs in the middle 30s. So Monday is our kind of calm before this incoming system. And our weather trend's pretty yucky on Tuesday. All right, so some key points. We're looking at a slushy few inches of snow, likely Tuesday morning. It's not necessarily like anything cataclysmic or anything by Michigan standards, of course, but it's just the timing that's going to be crucial and not in a good way. It's just going to arrive overnight through the Tuesday morning timeframe, so there could be, I think, some slick travel in that time frame. So just start thinking ahead now that Tuesday morning, you probably are going to want to wake up a little earlier, give yourself a few extra minutes. It's going to switch over to rain for most of us during the late morning and early afternoon on Tuesday, which we'll touch on. And then eventually that rain is going to switch back to snow late Tuesday and into Wednesday. But that final push of snow isn't going to amount to much, which we'll go through the potential for accumulations here in just a second. So this is a look at the incoming system. Note the timestamp in the top portion of the graphic. So 7 a.m. Tuesday morning, we're going to have potentially some wet and heavy snow working its way through most of our area. It really starts, I think, closer to about midnight, continues overnight, and through the daybreak hours on Tuesday. Watch what happens, though. We'll jump into this even a little bit more with a closer look here in just a second. But you're going to see that rain, those greens, those yellows, lifting farther north. So that rain snow line, which is going to be really crucial on where we see the cutoff between potentially some more significant snow farther north and maybe just some, slushy few inches farther south. That's going to be crucial during the daytime on Tuesday. As of now, I think that's going to be just north of Grand Rapids personally. But if it jogs even just 5-10 miles farther south, that could include Grand Rapids and potentially a little bit more impactful snow even into the afternoon and evening. There's the backside of that system, I said, kind of wrapping around some snow, but that, again, not going to amount to much in the snowfall department. So, again, we have a weather alert day for Tuesday, specifically for that morning commute. I showed this graphic yesterday, which I think is a good way of just kind of breaking down the timeline. So essentially for counties along and south of I-94, I want you paying attention to the bottom bar there. So that Kalamazoo and I-94. Essentially, I'm just kind of speaking to that I-94 stretch, which goes right smack dab through Van Buren, Kalamazoo County, and Calhoun counties and south. Now, if you're, I would say, a little farther north, especially up towards I-96, so portions of like Ottawa, Kent counties, Ionia counties northward, you can kind of pay attention to that timing on the top. So snow is expected to break out probably closer to about midnight and then continue overnight through daybreak for I-94 and south. I think the snow's onset will be a little bit more delayed farther north, probably closer to about daybreak in Grand Rapids or north of there. And so for that reason, because the snow is going to last a little longer farther south, I think the impacts are most likely farther south because there's, again, more time of snow and a little bit longer of a chance for maybe a few inches of accumulation even before that morning rush hour. There will be a very limited window for mix, which would just be kind of a rain-snow mix, and then things will quickly transition to rain into Tuesday afternoon and throughout much of the evening as well, especially across much of our core viewing area. So you can see here, that's that rain indicator from about noon, if you look at the timestamp up here. So I'm trying to indicate about noon throughout the later afternoon. And then as we get into about midnight, we'll probably see a brief switch over back to snowfall. And again, it's the snow on the back end that's really not going to amount to much. So just a different way of looking at things. And I'm going to go through all of this coming up tonight at 11, by the way. So this is a look at projected snowfall, but in 3 different windows. So it's a timeline, right? So Tuesday morning on the far left, that's that initial batch of snow lifting through here. About 2 to 5 inches, I think, is possible. Now, I will say the 5-inch total always catches everyone's eye, right? Our eyes, it's just like a psychological thing. We're always drawn to the higher total, right? I'm saying there's a chance that we could see 5, although I think more than likely, most are probably going to end in the 2 to 4 inch range. And even more specifically, I'm not really necessarily convinced we're going to see too many 4-inch totals. I think it's probably going to be more like 2 to 3, perhaps, in that area of darker blue. Now, I'm just talking about, again, Tuesday morning, the panel on the far left. So you can really see across the southern portion of our viewing area, that's why we're more confident in impacts there. Because think about it, that's going to be a quick hitting, few inches of slushy snow right in time for the morning commute. We haven't had really impactful snow in a little bit, so people kind of have to relearn to drive in snow. So just those sort of ingredients coming together, we think Tuesday morning could be a little bit dicey. Now, I don't necessarily think it's going to be like everyone calling off school, right? At least I don't think so, unless it overperforms considerably. So unfortunately, I personally, I wouldn't be too confident in like widespread cancellations, maybe some of your more rural districts, or maybe if the roads are just horrible. But the other thing, guys, is the temperatures are going to be hovering right around freezing. So salt products, snow removal, especially with wet snow, generally speaking, should work pretty well. It's not like we're, 10 degrees and there's blowing and drifting snow and like the salt isn't working, So I'm hopeful that it's not going to be like the end of the world, but I think there will be impacts for Tuesday morning. Okay, so now if you look at the middle panel, right? So that's Tuesday PM. What I mean by that is afternoon, evening, Tuesday. You see that Kalamazoo and south, we're not even going to be seeing any snow. It's all rain at that point, right? Now, farther north, initially in the afternoon, there could be still a little bit of snow before that rain line pushes farther north. And then that final batch from midnight through about noon Wednesday is generally, I think, just a trace up to about an inch. So while there could be some slick spots Wednesday morning, I don't really think it'll be much of an impact or anything compared to Tuesday morning. And so that's why we have the weather alert day just on Tuesday and not Tuesday and Wednesday. So I hope that makes some sense. And I hope that kind of helps you out a little bit. So just one quick look through hour by hour, and then I will really quickly read through some comments and answer as many questions as I humanly can. But this is a look at hour by hour for tonight through early tomorrow morning. Again, clouds just on the increase and just consistent, I should say, because they're still out there right now. We'll drop to about 30 degrees or so overnight. Monday is quiet. Now we'll go through late Monday, and you can see closer to about midnight, there comes the snow, right? It starts to break out. We'll drag this forward and show you kind of what happens. So this is now 2 a.m., right? 1:45, 2 in the morning on Tuesday, and you can see that snow continuing to lift in. So again, it's just the bad timing. When we get these sort of overnight, early morning snows, that's just in time, of course, to put down a few inches potentially right before the morning drive. Now, hour by hour here by about 7 a.m., pretty much everyone is seeing the snow, but then watch what happens. The rain really quickly starts creeping in along and south of I-94 as early as about mid-morning, so like 10 a.m. Then as we get into about the lunch hour, that rain-snow line will really start to lift north. What's happening, you guys, is that area of low pressure that's driving all of this if I were to draw it on here, it won't let me, of course. Why wouldn't it let me? Hold on, let's see. So if I were to kind of pinpoint where that low is, the low is going to be hanging out right down here. And usually with a low, your warmest air, there's like a sort of warm front that's lifting through here. So your warmest air is punching up kind of from the south right through here. So that's going to promote that switch over to predominantly rain. And it won't be just a gross Tuesday because we're going to get a few inches of snow in the morning. And then the rain is just going to fall on top of that. It's going to compact any snow and melt it really quickly. But what's interesting here, if you pay real close attention, right? So look at that rain snow line. And I know I'm looking over here. It's because my computer to control my graphics is over here. So I apologize if it's rude that I'm looking away from you all for a second. But if you look at that rain snow line, of course I can't for some reason get my cursor to work. But you can see it stretches up potentially from Ottawa through smack dab through Kent County and then eventually into Montcalm County as well. Where exactly that line sets up, literally a difference of like 5-10 miles is going to be really crucial. Personally, I think it'll be a little north of Grand Rapids by the mid-afternoon. And then the other story here, right, is farther north, they'll see pretty persistent snow throughout much of the day. So farther north, they could see, 4 or 5 inches potentially by the end of this event, if not even a little bit more than that. So when we were looking at that 3-panel, I had like a little darker shade of blue that just barely clips some of our northern counties. So farther north, any north travel on the day on Tuesday, if you know anyone, traveling between here and Traverse City, for example, or something like that, it's going to get, I think, a little dicey throughout much of the day. Dicey is my favorite word lately, apparently. All right, let me just read through here really cool. Ben that's a great question. Hopefully I kind of answered that. I don't know if you caught it. I'm not too optimistic, Ben. I think we're probably looking at advisory criteria. It's going to be just really dependent on how bad the roads are looking for some of those superintendents. I think just given that it's going to be a slushy, wet snow, will it be a little slick? But I think it's going to be, not necessarily a shut down everything sort of a day. That's my take. I think it will be, you definitely want to give yourself extra time. That's why we're going with this weather alert day. All right, so really quickly, I will also emphasize, let me read through and just scan. I'm cutting it close for our newscast. We will be on tonight at 10. That's why I have to go, Rocky. So that's the good news. It's just Saturdays we're not temporarily on, but Sunday nights we will be back on the ARC. But I do want to highlight, if you missed this or if you're just getting into the conversation, right now on our website, I have a condensed version of what we just talked about on this story on our website, WWMT.com. It's right in the headline, right on the homepage. It's a weather alert day article. You can skim through this bad boy and it'll break. And apparently it has like a meat ad in the middle. That caught me off guard. If you need some ground beef, I guess you can click that, or maybe don't. I don't know. But yeah, looking ahead, it kind of breaks down all this, shows that little 3-panel snow plot. The other thing I failed to talk about, because I'm running out of time, which I'll hopefully touch on at 10 and 11, is just the fact that this is kind of just the beginning, y'all, of a much more active pattern. Late this week into next weekend, it's looking like we're going to tap into some much colder air. And with that, there is going to likely be another storm system somewhere in the Midwest. I know that sounds really generic, but that's kind of the reality. It's hard to say exactly the pinpoint of where a heavier track of snow is going to go. Just like we were saying like 6-7 days ago with this storm, how there was going to be a lot of shifts. There's this other system that we're watching late this week that could bring potentially some heavy snow into next weekend, but it's far from a guarantee right now. So that's going to be another one that we have to kind of babysit here in the extended forecast. So with that, I got to run. Otherwise, I'm going to get yelled at for being late for our mic checks. I already am a few minutes late. Don't tell. But we'll have the latest tonight at 10 and 11. I really appreciate you, Jason. You're the best. Jason's the best. Always sending in the best weather video. A WWMT alum, Jason Harris. I don't think much will change in Kalamazoo, Sarah. The models have come into a lot better consensus. So I think the only thing that could maybe shift somewhat is just where that rain snow line sets up during the afternoon, which I'm pretty confident we'll see several hours of snow in the pre-dawn and then early morning hours Tuesday, switching pretty quickly to rain by late Tuesday morning in Kalamazoo. So it's really just Tuesday morning. I think about 2 to 4 inches most likely for Kalamazoo area. All right. With that, I bid you all adieu. Thank you for all the watching and the viewers. We have 125 people. We had like over 200 people at one point, which is awesome. So happy you all are staying weather-aware, and we'll keep you updated here in the coming days. And again, if you missed all of this and you're like, what the heck? Go to our website, check out the article. All right, bye.